My first sex rule since high school has been no sex before the third date. I recently broke that rule with a handicapped guy, and now my childhood best friend is pissed and grossed out because she thinks I have some weird kind of fetish. Context/full story, I'm a 28F. My childhood best friend we'll call Jess is also 28F. To put it simply, I don't think I'm any kind of prude, I just don't really feel comfortable with casual sex, never have. My best friend knows this and has teased me about it lightly in the past. She's been in a long-term relationship for the last 3 years. I've mostly been single while working on my degree and starting my career. Jess lives in another state with her boyfriend, so we don't hang out much anymore. So about a month ago I had a first date with a guy I'd been talking to for a bit, thought it was going places, but he gave a weird vibe on the date and I cut and ran early. On my way home I stopped at a local pub, figured I'd have a drink to unwind and people watch till it wore off. Tipsy driving is still drunk driving emo. I get there and it's pretty packed, Friday night and all, and there was no seating room at the bar. Took my drink and looked around. Most of the restaurant side of the pub was someone's birthday party, but there was a small table with a seat open off to the side, with a guy reading a book there. So I say F it, I'm a social person and what's the worst thing that happens? He says no? So I ask if I can sit there for a bit, I promise we don't have to talk or anything. At this point I feel like I fucked up because this guy up close is the hottest man I have ever seen. But he just smiled at me and gave an enthusiastic sure. A few minutes later of me sipping in silence and he says I don't mind talking, if you want to. Yeah I want to. Are you kidding me right now? We talk for a bit and it turns Mike, fake name, is 29, just finished his master's degree in some kind of computer learning field. I program computers to program computers, and he's living on his own for the first time. He apparently stops by the pub after work because he's right around the corner, and he's not used to the silence yet after living so long with a half-dozen siblings. We talked for a good 2 hours, about everything from dating, which he said he's basically given up on, to hobbies and tastes, and we have a near total eclipse of a Venn diagram on this stuff. I eventually sort of blurted out that I don't know why he'd give up on dating. This is the closest thing I've had to a good date in forever. Shooting my shot obliquely here lol, he gets kind of an odd look on his face and says tell you what, I have to go to the bathroom, but when I come back I'll ask you out for real. Weird, but okay? Then it all clicks, because he doesn't get up to walk away, he just rolls. In his wheelchair. And I'm thinking oh my god he wanted to give me a chance to back out of this without making it awkward. How cute can this guy be? He grinned like crazy when he got back and saw I was still there, and I basically tripped over myself saying something to the effect of so I'm free all weekend, what did you have in mind? Another hour later, we've got plans for Saturday, and he told me he has a neuromuscular disorder I can't remember the name of. My degree isn't in STEM lol, so his legs work, but the signals from his brain get misinterpreted so he doesn't have the balance or coordination for walking or standing. The pub starts switching over to the younger/rowdier crowd and he asks if I'd like to go back to his place for coffee to continue our conversation. As you have probably long since realized, I did not get any coffee or conversation till the next morning and I have zero regrets. We've been dating since and I know it's still early but I really feel like this might be the one. Onward to yesterday afternoon, my friend Jess, remember Jess? Is in town, and we go out for coffee to catch up on things. I'm gushing about Mike, but when I get to how we met she just sort of got weird and edgy. I don't remember any exact words but she essentially said that I must have a fetish for the handicapped since I broke my #1 rule and it's the best physical relationship I've ever been in. Like it's good for me because he uses a wheelchair, not because the guy puts in effort in bed? She said I've changed as a person and left without even saying goodbye. 15 years of friendship and I've never seen her like that. So here I am, asking the most objective people online, haha, if I'm an asshole or weird for being super attracted to a guy who uses a wheelchair and basically putting out immediately. Oop, okay, yeah this made me laugh for real. Seriously, what a weird fetish I have. Oop, that shit floored me. He's so considerate in so many ways. His stories about his sibs are also hilarious, I can't wait to meet them. We're trying not to rush things just because it all seems so great, but they have a barbecue in May that he'd like me to come to and I am so there. He was raised around a lot of love and it shows. Update 1. So if you were hoping for some terrible drama, I hate to break it to you that I don't roll like that. No pun intended. So I do have an update on Jess and shit finally makes perfect sense. And I have a slightly NSFW but funny story about Mike, because this guy is just the best, y'all. Okay, so first, I finally messaged Jess yesterday and said basically I'm still hurt by what you said, but after 15 years of friendship I'd never forgive Muzi if I didn't at least ask why you snapped at me like that. She replied immediately, I'm so fucking sorry, I didn't mean any of that, can we have a do-over on lunch? So I agreed cautiously and took a half day to meet with her today. Turns out that those of you who said she was jealous, and that she might have something else going on, and especially the person who said something might be going on in her relationship. Gold stars. She's in town because she's job hunting, because she's moving back in with her parents for a while since her relationship ended. Apparently they have been having a ton of small problems adding up, but the biggest one? Sex. The guy she's been with was apparently never great, but it's gotten to the point where he makes no effort at all for her to enjoy herself and then gets pissed when she isn't in the mood. She tried talking with him about it, making suggestions, but he told her recently that it's emasculating being given sex advice by a woman. The straw that broke the metaphorical camel's back, however, was that her boyfriend has always had a thing for Asian women. She's Caucasian, but she does have long black hair. After weeks of fighting over their sex life, he suggested that they spice things up, by her dressing in a kimono and pretending to be Asian. She lost it on him and is absolutely disgusted by the racist fetishism and ended it right then. So she had all of this bottled up and was hoping to talk to me and finally be able to put it down. And I missed every hint that she had something big to discuss because I was gushing about Mike. So to her it felt like I was just twisting the knife by bragging about how great our sex was. She snapped, and somewhere between what I was saying and what she wanted to talk about some wires got crossed and she said something incredibly dumb. She left without saying goodbye because she was mortified and ashamed as well as irrationally mad at me. Something to know about Jess: she's an awful liar and she and I were the co-founders of our high school's foot and mouth society, so I do believe her. I told her I forgive her and I'm sorry I didn't realize she wanted to talk about something bothering her, and she said I was too stupidly nice and have nothing to apologize for, so I think we'll be okay. For the time being I'm not ready for her and Mike to meet, because I don't want to make things feel worse, and she agrees. But she's really happy for me. Hopefully this is just a funny story we can look back on someday. So, on to how Mike almost killed me, lol. Last night we were talking about the Reddit post and he gets this funny expression that I'm starting to recognize. And he goes, "How do we know you don't have a fetish if we haven't at least tried it in the chair?" And I'm like, are you serious, lol? He said he's never attempted it, because, cue tears, he's never felt so comfortable with a partner before. Well, his chair has what is essentially like a parking brake thing. Or it should. It's unfortunately broken and apparently getting them fixed is an expensive pain in the ass. He doesn't use it that often, so he hasn't made it a priority. And there's this thing called Newton's third law. You know how every action has an equal and opposite reaction? As it happens, when you're trying to get the motion of the ocean going, in a chair with wheels that aren't locked, there's a sort of counter motion that starts and fucks it all up. So we were going nowhere fast except for inching along the floor in his bedroom. And laughing at the silliness, which isn't helping. Eventually he just stops and says maybe we can get some of those wooden block things they use to keep little planes from rolling away, like in Indiana Jones, you know? I absolutely lost it. Like laughing so hard I'm in tears. He's giggling half at the situation and half at my reaction, and everything just keeps setting me off again. Finally I get it under control, doing some deep breathing exercises and shit, and I look at him again. And he pulls the straightest face he can, and says, "For the love of God, golly. This sure is uncomfortable." Folks, if I had asthma I would have fucking died right there. I laughed so hard I think I pulled a rib. Like wheezing and not even laughing anymore so much as weeping and making T's awful hey noise when I could catch my breath. While he's laughing and rubbing my back and saying he's sorry, he couldn't resist. So yeah, confirmed, no fetish here, and this magnificent bastard's comedic timing might actually kill me. I doubt I'll update again, because there's really nothing I can see needing to share given everything sort of worked out. And in the end, the real assholes were the friends we made along the way. Ike. Thanks for all the lovely comments on my last post and for coming along with me on this absurd but brief drama in my life, lol. Oop, and everyone's phones blow up. Genius, I'll finally go viral and get all those internet dollars I assume people are raking in. LOL, I probably will post an update on this account, but I don't necessarily want to bog down Ada with my silly shit. I'm so excited and nervous. It's apparently a Mother's Day barbecue. Which I didn't know because my parents and I are estranged and I never even seriously thought about having kids before meeting Mike. But apparently it's a lot of people and a lot of food and apparently everyone knows he's bringing me. Also, can I just say fuck yes about his mom? They apparently have a huge one-floor rancher and she just assumed we'd be sleeping together in his old room. Like none of that weird you aren't married so you get separate rooms shit. I already adore them and we haven't even met yet. Oop, oh there is one coming. Oh my god, his family, lol. I am exhausted already and it's only one here, and we have another day of this ahead. They are amazing and he is glowing like a fireball. The side of him when he's with family is so bright I need sunglasses to look at him. Update 2. Hello again. I was going to post this on my own page but a few people mentioned that they think it's nice to read on Ada, so fuck it, here's the Met Mike's family update. And it's a doozy, or at least felt like it at the time for a girl who grew up with a small, dysfunctional family. So first, tee up, you know what people, at least me, don't think about when dating a guy who's always sitting? Height. I know he's taller than me because we cuddle a lot, and he's taller sitting on the couch, but I didn't really get it. So we drive up Friday night after work, actually south and west, lol, but to my brain it's always up, in his vehicle, which is modified to be driven entirely using his hands. Neat, right? He's a really good driver too. One more green flag. We get to the house, and it's huge you guys, lol, like not a mansion, just kind of a sprawling one-floor rancher. Real estate was wild back in the day. Anyway we get out, and I meet his mom. I'd like to point out I am no slouch, I'm 5'7". His mom is towering over me. But she was the nicest lady ever. We go inside and I meet his dad, who funny enough is apparently the only short one in this family, and his youngest sister, who is living there with his 1-year-old niece. She gets up to hug me and she is also really tall. It's already a bit late then, so we eat and head to bed. I get to see his cute as shit room from when he was a teenager, and I casually ask, hey, so I don't know how this works and stuff, but how tall are you? And Mike is all I'd know, like a bit over 6 feet 4 inches? Been a while since I checked. A bit over 6 feet 4 inches. So, is everyone in your family tall? Kinda? We met the Nordic basketball team he calls a family properly the next day. Actually they're Irish, but they're blonde and tall so it conveys the idea better. The only one of reasonable height, and still taller than me, was his oldest sister, lol. They are also loud. Like not really shouting or anything usually, just, present. Mike is a lot different around them, but in the cutest way, like he just beams all the time and you can see how happy he is to be home. One of his brothers put him in a headlock and gave him a dang noogie as a greeting, and got elbowed in the side for it, and all of them laughing. And his mom smack, one of his brothers with a rolled up magazine for putting his feet on the table. More laughing. Just intimidating but in the happiest way imaginable. I'll admit I was a little shut down for a bit, but Mike kept checking in with me to make sure I was okay, and they were all really nice, so I got into the spirit after a bit. I mentioned this in another comment, but Mike has a special sports wheelchair he uses for, well, sports. And he and his siblings play basketball. And he is good. Apart from just having a hell of an arm, he's quick as hell. And this magnificent bastard that I love will absolutely, purposefully, gleefully run someone's toes over. He aims for it. They all have this yank back the foot maneuver that's hysterical to watch. So it was this crazy day of loud people playing and having a blast, nieces and nephews running around, and just noise. My ears are still ringing. The food was catered in advance because his mom had 7 babies. All I make on Mother's Day is margaritas. They also have a pool. It's a bit chilly still but the pool is heated so we actually all got to swim, which was a lot of fun because I got to show off that I too am athletic. I can do a backward somersault off a diving board. Yeah. I'm a real catch lol. They at least pretended to be impressed. We all stayed up late drinking and bitching that it was too overcast to see the aurora, boo, and I had the worst hangover I've had in a while on Sunday. We slept in a bit late, and then joined Mike's family for the barbecue part of the barbecue weekend. His dad can grill, people. And he's fast, food coming off the grill at lightning speed. I asked Mike about it and he laughed and said there was 7 of us to feed. Ever see a nest of baby birds? He had practice. Which, fair enough. I don't have much experience with babies, but I got to hold his youngest niece, the one living at home with his sis until her husband gets back from deployment, and we had a light talk about kids in the future. I told him that I never put much thought into it, but if they were going to grow up in a happy home like his and not how I grew up, I'm pretty sure I'd be open to having them with him someday. But later. I need him all to myself for a while first. He seemed really happy about that, which makes me feel all goofy and happy. I'm sappy. We had to drive home Sunday night, but before we went his mom hugged me and said she's never seen her son like this, and thanked me for taking good care of her baby. And asked if we'd be back for the 4th of July or if we were doing something with my family. And I tried to be all no, we'll be here if you don't mind. I don't see them much and I think she caught on that there's more to the story so she just hugged the shit out of me, Vikings, all of them I swear, and told me she can't wait to see me again. My ears are still ringing from all the noise and chaos, but it was an absolute blast and I can't wait to see them again in July. Also, pretty much sure Mike is the man I'm going to marry. I literally can't think of a single reason why I would ever let him get away. Anyway, thanks for reading, hope you all had a lovely weekend, and those of you who got to see the aurora I'm happy for you but you suck, lol. Oop, it's still pretty surreal. The other in-laws that were there were all like that smiling hanging guy meme, first time? It was a great weekend. Update 3. You know how sometimes a relationship looks amazing at first but then all the red flags start showing up? This isn't one of those stories, lol. Sorry, that was mean, but I couldn't resist. Okay, on to the actual update. No, we aren't engaged yet. Yes, we have talked about it in the context of how seriously we are taking things. No babies yet either obviously, we are diligent about birth control. I want Mike all to myself for a while. So, the 4th of July visit to his family's house was pretty awesome. After getting to know everyone last time I had better expectations of what I was going into, and I've talked with my therapist about the whole play fighting makes me anxious because in my childhood home it wasn't playing thing. I don't want them to ever curb how they act to cater to me, and instead I guess I'll consider it immersion therapy. I think Mike mentioned it anyway because I didn't see much of it this time, though there were cheerful threats of doom lobbed about which I didn't mind at all. His mom is amazing, I'd like to point out. Even if she moms so hard it makes me weepy. So, background info, I have a really common sounding name spelled really uncommonly. Think Danielle or Jessica. Because in addition to everything else my parents decided to be creative when they named me. So, although I do sort of like my name, that meant I was that kid who never saw their name personalized on anything. Mike's family, on the other hand, had like a million kids and they all got traditional names, so personalized stuff was huge for them. It kept them from fighting over stuff, I guess. One of the things in their house, because they have a pool, is that each of the kids, adults now, has their own personalized beach towel that lives at the house. So we get to their place and it's been a hot drive there, so right after we get in Mike suggests I go to his room to get changed into a swimsuit so we can have a dip in the pool. I'm thinking that sounds perfect, right? Some of you may already know where this is going. I get to his room and there is a towel on the bed. In my favorite color. With my fucking stupid ass spelled name embroidered into it. So here I am crying over a goddamn towel and he's in the doorway watching and grinning like he just pranked me or some shit. Turns out it was her idea but she checked with Mike to make sure it was spelled right. So now I have a towel for when we visit because apparently I'm welcome. If I sound cranky it's just because I'm better at self-depreciation than I am expressing emotions in a direct way. I really am blown away and touched by how much these people have welcomed me. Mike has already sort of learned to decode the way I talk and joke, which is nice, but the first time he gently said that's not humor, that's just putting yourself down, babe, I definitely wanted to go hide under the table. He doesn't let me be mean to me. That's a thing good partners do, I guess? I wouldn't know. Again, yes I am in therapy, I am working on myself, it's not his responsibility to put me back together, it's just something he does naturally. I literally told him one night that I was sorry I'm kind of broken, and he snorted and said at least you can walk in the most disgusted voice ever and made me laugh. I digress. So the food was once again amazing, and I kept my promise to teach his mom how to make my cinnamon bun bread pudding, so I felt like I contributed. Insert Ralph Wiggum I'm helping. Meme, I learned to play Yahtzee, and as it turns out I am very good at it. They do a lot of board games things at night when everyone is staying for the week. These people have a lot of board games. And puzzles. Whole damn storage closet of the things. They also drink like fucking fish and can hold it so I'm learning to pace myself. Mike doesn't drink much when we aren't there so I'm not worried that it's a red flag. Only red flag of his that I've found was a Red Sox pennant in his room. Now I realize I might be talking him up a lot, but he isn't perfect. He snores, he has a habit of arguing with people on the TV when they make stupid decisions, he sometimes starts talking about things I don't understand and just goes and goes until he realizes he lost me like 15 minutes ago, and he is fastidiously tidy, which makes me feel guilty because I have bad habits to lose. I'm not used to clutter means I can't move through an area but I'm really trying. I barely spend any time at my own place anymore, and we're definitely looking to move in together sooner than later. Yeah, so, not that much of an update, no one burned themselves on a firework or anything super exciting. I'm just in an ongoing relationship with a great guy who has a great family and things continue to look up for us. We head home tonight so we can spend some alone time Sunday.